So this is what I want to cover today. First thing is, what is a cross-platform component? Why would you be interested in creating one? And how do you create one? Easy peasy. So what is a cross? What is a cross-platform component? So know that most of you have been attending these groups, conferences, and why not? One of the main characteristics of APL 64 is that it is built on .NET. And by doing so, we are able to target any platform where .NET applications run. So not everything can run on any platform. So the main rule is if you are using Quad WI, then Windows is the only platform you can select. However, if what you have is business rules and sophisticated calculations, then you don't need to be constrained in running or using your code only on a Windows platform. So you can create what I hope everybody's familiar with, a NuGet package. So NuGet is a thing that is like 10 years old, maybe more. And it's sort of a repository of libraries and components. So they are not all open source. There is a vast majority of open source things, but there are licensed components as well that are distributed using NuGet package. A NuGet package is nothing more than a package component with the prerequisites and license. So it is what I like to call a glorified zip file. That NuGet package is nothing more than a zip file with some instructions on it. What will contain is an assembly that represents some functions inside of your workspace. The workspace will be embedded in a way that it doesn't make it easier to see it. I don't know why I moved to the, okay, fine, I think we're fine. 1 second, okay. I don't know why I moved screens. Trying to get back to the previous. Having issues with presentation. Let's join. Oh, going back to the thing I'm saying. Will be a .NET assembly contained representing some functions in the workspace. You contain the workspace, and some functions in the workspace will be published as .NET methods. Main motivators behind doing this kind of things, again, as I mentioned, if you have a bunch of calculations that you want to expose to different type of consumers beyond the traditional desktop application with a graphic interface, and the components are going to be the way to go. Is a way to expand the value that a lot of people have on existing applications in APL. For a lot of, especially corporate clients, then using components is a lot easier than creating full desktop applications that are difficult to install and remove. And it will just give you access to a whole technical ecosystem that you may have not been using from APL right now. How to create them, and then this I'm going to go through the slides, and then I'm going to the demo. You have to make changes to your code base. There are simple changes, but you have to. So one of the first things we introduce in the creation of components is the public keyword. Basically, you need to go to your function and change the header of your function and make your function public. In addition to that, you also need to declare the result and the arguments. Why? Because we're going to be exposing those functions as .NET methods. So they have to be CLI compliant. So trying to guess what your function requires or what is going to be returning is going to be possible. So you have to tell us what the intention is. Everybody can see the screen, so it's not as horrible. It's as simple as it looks on the screen right now. You use the public keyword to mark the function as something that you want to expose in a component. Then you use this crazy syntax in your header, using the add symbol to separate the type of the argument or result and the name of the argument. So in this case on the screen, we are telling the system that there is a square root function that has an argument x, a result c or set, and that the type of the argument is going to be a double, and that the type of the result is going to be a double as well. Inside of the function is just a plain vanilla APL function. There is nothing special about it. All these try catch and why not. Syntax issue in this function. The function can be just line 2 if you want it to be. Everything else is pretending I'm a decent programmer. So some try catch and things like that. Trap errors. What data types can be used as either arguments or results? Booleans, integers, doubles, characters, and strings. What rank? Anything from 0 to 3. Are these restrictions impossible to overcome or extend? No, they are not. But we need to start somewhere. Basically, on the creation of the CPCs, we said, those basic data types in the .NET world, they are called value types. So that's going to be a good starting point. And rank 0 to 3 is a good starting point as well. This was one of those things that we didn't want to extend or complicate the definition of public functions and arguments too much without a real need for it. All these can be found on the documentation link that is attached to the meeting invite. So you don't have to spend too much time reading this one. So how you query a workspace to know if you have defined any public functions? There is a new quad CSR, C# runtime is the meaning of that thing. So basically, at any moment, you can open a workspace and type quad CSR star, and it will give you any public functions that you have defined. You have an option on left argument. The default is give me the entire header of the functions, or you can just use the optional value name, and then the quad CSR will give you only the names of the functions that are being decorated with the colon public keyword. And again, so you can quickly query what functions have been made public in your space. If you use anything by a star or a valid public function name, then you get domain errors. If you put something on the left argument that is not name or header, leave it empty, then again you just get some basic validation error. Sonia, can you mute yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was muted.
So again, quad CSR, if you need to query a workspace and see if you have defined any public function. The creation utility screen is extremely similar to the WRE that John Walker was showing last week. Everything is deeply documented, so I'm not going to go into the details of it. I'm not going to repeat the documentation. Read the documentation at your own pace. But basically, what it has is the minimal identifiers we need to be able to create. So it's going to have a target folder where you want to put the Nugget package. Unlike the WRE, it works only on the loaded workspace. So you need to be on the workspace to be able to run these things. Then you're going to have the class name that you want to create for your component, the namespace. Then you're going to have the details that are going to be attached to the Nugget package. You know, the description, product name, copyright, file version, package versions, all those kind of things. Then it will require a unique package GUID. This is so you can publish the packages to Nugget. And it requires a unique Nugget package ID. By default, we'll be using the company name and component name. That's what everybody uses out there. If you go to nugget.org, then you see the millions of packages and everybody company name, component. But you can use whatever you want. Again, if you want to publish to Nugget, you have to make sure that the package ID and the package code are unique. You can also include a license file package. There is a couple of formats that we support. And it's highly recommended that you include any file. And again, if you browse to nugget.org and you browse to any package, you will see that the README is always displayed, so people can find. I don't know why this thing is. Once you have created your package, and then I will probably move to a demo pretty quick. Then it's just this sample in particular is using C# syntax. So basically, it's going to be the name of your namespace and your class. You create the class, you provide the arguments, you execute the method, and you get the result. And for more there. So now let's repeat all that, but actually seeing it happen. Here we have 64. So we're going to quickly, okay, so actually I'm going to show the error. This is a clean workspace or clear workspace or workspace with no public function. So if you try to go to create runtime, create cross-platform component without any public function, then you get an error saying you don't have any public. So this thing is not going to work. I know that it's difficult to see. I don't know how to. I think there was a zoom on this thing. Kind of find. So I'm going to load the workspace that has public functions. As I was mentioning, then I can quickly query using .csr. And if I use the optional left argument name, then it will give me a list of functions that have been decorated with the column public keyword. This workspace, there are 2 functions that have been public. If instead I use the header, then we'll get the full header of functions, and I actually can zoom this. It's easier to see now. Yeah, better. Name, just the names, header, the entire header, and of course you can just put function name here and then header for the function. Simple as that. How these functions look internally. Data types based on the supported list of data types. The actual variable inside of your workspace. So if you see inside of the workspace .set and the X, the things that are being used. This decorator and the data types create no overhead in the execution of the code. So if you are using this square root function inside of your workspace, other things, your GUI application, whatever, there is no overhead by putting these decorators. Those are things that we only query when we're using or creating CPC components. There is a couple more things to know. If for any reason you need to know whether you are running on CPC mode, Then there is the quad CPC info that it will tell you if you're running inside of a CPC component. So the quad CPC info will let you know if you are running inside of a CPC component. Maybe there is a little bit of logic in your function that changes or needs to change, whether you are using Windows desktop GUI application, or if you have exposed that functionality component, then you can use that. There are more things on this screen. I'm not going to go into it, but OS does and all those kind of things, or quad path case and whatever. There will be other presentations in the future to go over some of the new system functions that we have created. But the one I wanted to cover was the quad CPC info. Going back to the creation. Similar fashion, you can save the definitions. So you can quickly reload the definitions. So you don't have to type all this every single time. I know that the screen is extremely small. Some of the documentation you can do it yourself. It's really, really easy. This is a demo of how easy it is. Basically, what I have done so far is I have a couple of functions in the workspace being marked with public. I open this to specify some minimum information that needs to be provided. And then when the create button is hit, then the package is going to be created. So what that thing that is created looks like is just this. And created a bunch for these examples. So this is the one that is being created out of that definition. I know the screen is really, really see, but oh, that didn't help. So that's a component. So it's just a file with an extension, NUKG NuGet package. That's it. The reason they are put here is because of the demos are going to look for the packages on this location. You can publish those to nuget.org. There are free accounts. Once the package has been created, then I can simply go to my IDE of choice. Mine is Visual Studio Community Edition. Okay. And basically, the thing I have on the screen is a console application. The thing you do is you go to manage NuGet packages. You can also go via the menu. NuGet package manager, manage NuGet packages. Every IDE is going to have it. Visual Studio Core, right there. Anything you're going to have it right there. Then you go to the browse option, which is the first option, and then you set the source to be your local package source, which is that folder that I was just showing in my machine. Basically, this folder, local package source, is my local package source for machine. On my machine, these are the packages I have published from different workspaces. So you simply go there, to select the package you want to install, and then install it. So I have installed the package already. When you install it for the first time, then it will tell you the dependencies. It will show you the license. So whether you want to accept the package or not. When the package has been included, then on the dependencies of the project, it will be shown here. Again, difficult to see. Didn't expect that part to be small, but it's adding a reference. Is how adding references today. Switching back to my program, then basically on my CPC information, I said that the namespace was going to be APL test and that the class name was going to be my component test. And if I do a my component test, and again, this is too small, then you will see the square root and the create native file there. I know that one is tiny. I didn't expect this not to be, this part cannot be increased. But this is a full-blown IDE that has IntelliSense. By tab dot, it's going to show me the public functions there. So I can select any one you want. So I have a couple of ones, create native file, that is going to create native file, or actually calculated the square root. So what this thing is going to do, we are inside of Visual Studio. We have included the package. This is going to run inside of Visual Studio. It's going to compile for .NET. It's going to run for .NET. Nowhere, anywhere do you need APL64 running. That everything is contained within. If I debug this, and click debug, it's gonna take a second. Start debugging. Hit my stop. I was gonna create my class. It's creating my class. That thing is creating workspace, loading the workspace, defining the functions, and then it's gonna go and call the public function. The call, because the APL support components are his components, that you cannot really step into the function and then end up in your workspace. If you step into the function, you're only going to get to the shim we create, so we can pass from .NET into APL into your workspace. So that is an extremely simple piece of code that is only going to take the arguments and it's going to call function inside of the workspace, but you cannot really go into the space. And you keep going, then you're going to get it solved. And this thing, if you failed, the error message is going to be shown here. If there's any error, if I continue running, then there will be, this is a console application, so it's asking me to enter a numeric value. And can I go ahead and enter something illegal? Else. No more letting type and blaming the presentation. Great. If I try to calculate the square root of -2, I'm going to get a domain error back. So, and when I'm ready to finish, then so package, add a package to anything you want to create. In this case, simplest example, console application. What else can you do with a package? Use it anywhere where packages can be used. So I'm gonna use another example. And I am going to create a server with a browser window. So basically the same square root function, same package. But this is basically a server with a browser user interface. Right now I'm targeting HTTP instead of HTTPS just because it's less difficult to set up. These are just samples of what can you do. I'm not going to go into how to create it. kind of things. There are a lot of examples in the documentation that you can run in your pace. And what it does is, you can see this is the function when the square root is going to be used. In this particular workspace, I gave the square root function a fancy name, square root calculation and cube root calculation. Again, when you are creating components, you are creating an API. So you may want to use names that are a little bit more descriptive of what you're trying to accomplish. And you may want to not rely on trial and QuadDM to have error that makes sense. Maybe you want to, in this case, what we have chose is what is called a tuple in C#. So basically, we're going to return the value or a Boolean telling you whether it was an error or not, and the error message. Right, the documentation said if the error is true, it's because the calculation didn't run correctly, and then what you get is an error message set. When you run this thing, then you're going to start a local server on a specific port. This is part of the examples on APL64. This is the extremely sophisticated website we created to showcase the square root calculation. So I can zoom this as well. So there is a home page with a welcome and then a little navigation that will take you into a square root calculation page. On the square root calculation page, you have a simple input box when you can input any number, submit it, and then you will get the square root. Again, this is all on my machine, is running localhost, but this can be running web server. The Nugget component behind the Nugget component contains an APL64 workspace with as many functions as you want. Some of those functions, at least one of those functions, has to be public. And that's the thing that people can consume here. But the public function is the entry point. So you have a workspace with 100 functions. One is public, and the other 99 are just to calculate everything that you're publishing on the API. Similar to the other thing, this thing has no validation on the UI, so I can put anything I want on the field. Then you will get back a domain error. So there is no square root of -2. APL. And if I hit something else, then it's actually working out smoke and mirror. And the last example, and this is just to almost the last example, is same as square root function, really creative with my example algorithms here. And this is MAUI, which is the thing that Microsoft has promised it will run everywhere. So right now, this thing is targeting a Windows machine. So if I go ahead and run it, it will create a MAUI Windows interface. Same things we've been doing. So you put the number, you click, and then you get value back. If you put something invalid, you click, then you get an error message. If you go do something valid again, and you click, put it back. And this user interface here is using MAUI. Because I'm using MAUI, and I wanted to do an example to show off, then I can target other things. So the thing I'm going to target is an Android emulator. So I start debugging again. Hopefully it won't take too long. Or it will. It's compiling and emulator app on the screen.
The firing up of the emulator is actually slow. I've done this on an Android phone. It doesn't take this. This is just in when we're demonstrating it in the Visual Studio.
Yeah, so this progress bar at the bottom and the little icon that is working really, really hard. Working, or maybe not. I think I tried to move it too soon. As Joe mentioned, loading up the emulator takes some machine resources. And maybe I just tried to do too much.
I think that in the Visual Studio, they've added an option, which I don't see here, but it says to preload the emulator. That means that when you are starting to do a startup Visual Studio, you can start up the emulator of choice, and then it will it will fire up the app in a much shorter amount of time.
So yeah, the emulator didn't work with the presentation, or it's taking too long. I'm not gonna wait. Just try to kill it. But basically, I mean, this is idea features. Same things is the only thing is you have. If you go into the packages of the solution, then you will see the APL package that we have created using APL support. And it must be to update things. I just wanted to update Microsoft, so it's not important. And you can publish to Nugget, or you can use local sources, and then you have all your packages there. If you publish an update, change the version, publish again, put it there. Then Visual Studio Code, all IDEs will let you know that there is an update to your package. And probably the other thing to mention about packages is the dependencies. It will list the dependencies that the package relies on, but it doesn't include any of the dependencies. So when you add the package, then the dependencies will have to be provided. When you add the package, Visual Studio will just put the dependencies. I am going to change the view here to something else. And again, these workspaces, they contain only a couple of functions, but the workspace, the package, sorry, is around 2 megabytes. So it's a completely different deployment mechanism of your business logic. If I go to the so that I know the workspace around only 25K with the 2 versions, so that workspace will be packaged in on 2 megabyte Nugget package. It's not proportional. It's not like every time it's going to be 100 times bigger. There is a base size, which is around 2 megabyte, and then the other 25K are going to. So that's sort of the minimum size of the Nugget. It depends on how many workspaces and additional files you are including. Yeah. I will try this one more time. If it doesn't work, then I will leave it alone. So it's working. A couple of minutes of patience. So this is the Android emulator. So the same ultra sophisticated UI, with an input box and a button, and a label boxes to put things out, and the same functionality. You can send error messages back. Of course, this is just demo of how you can reuse your APL logic anywhere. Good. That's really it. And questions? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Overall, I'm gonna leave this screen sharing. Are there any questions?